Live Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. And I think things going as planned. It's very interesting because my job is part psychology. It's mostly scientists, meteorologists, and then part psychology. And invariably, when you have a 2 and 3 day extended period of snow, uh, when you wake up 9 hours later, everybody says, where was all that total of snow? Remember, it's still to come, and this is a very interesting situation. Storm is bombing out, so you know a lot of times you want to take, and a lot of times this does work. You want to take the radar and say, "Oh, here comes the line of thunderstorms that'll move through," or "Here comes a snowstorm and move through." Remember, weather is dynamic, especially in a bombing storm system, which means it drops 24 millibars or more in 24 hours. What that means is the whole thing will be changing and evolving. And very interesting radar look today. Something I haven't seen in quite a while, but let's get to it here. I would say now, it's the wind. We've got some reports that things are passable this morning. I do think the conditions will deteriorate in a lot of places. So that's what I worry about, is that you wake up this morning and say, oh, it's not doing it. And it's still going to do what it's supposed to do. All right, so we're going to start with the satellite picture. And I realize that you got to kind of look at it. And let me pull you up here. You got to kind of look at it and find Michigan. Find Illinois, Indiana, I see, Lake Michigan, find Michigan. So what you'll notice is that this isn't the ordinary flow. You'll notice that the flow aloft is from southeast to northwest. And that's important because, I would not compare this to 1978 or 1967. Some people have tried to do that. And by the way, yesterday on Facebook, I went on record as saying I was watching NBC Nightly News and they used this storm of a generation a couple of times. Me, and I don't know any meteorologist, professional, that has called this the storm of a generation. No. This is a once in 5 or 10 year blizzard, wind combined with snow, and depending on where you're at, it's bad. Northwest side of the state, west side of the state, east side of the state, it's bad for today and tomorrow, but it's not a storm of the generation. But where I was getting with this is, and pardon me, I'm going to ramble a little bit here just to give you some analysis, but we will get into the weather. So just hang out. You got nothing to do. This is MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa, the MLive Morning Weather Update. We do this every morning. Please hit the share button. One thing on these storms, when they bomb out, okay, remember the storm circulation is developing. It was an open, not a closed circulation yesterday. And now as it bombs out over Lake Huron and just to the northeast in Ontario, the circulation completes around it. So we actually have to watch over by, the northeast and by southern Ontario, because that precipitation will come back to the west, and I'm going to show that to you on radar, and then swing down through. So what I'm saying is, you look at a radar and it won't give a true picture of exactly where all the snow is falling. So you're seeing the bombing out process there, and the bright red, those are colder cloud tops. That's almost like convection, like thunderstorms developing. And notice kind of the movement back toward the north and west. All right, so just a reminder, you may not think it has happened. It's a bust, but remember, it's a 3-day forecast, and the blizzard conditions are expected to mostly be the worst in most places this afternoon and this evening. Joe Hingley in C. No, it's not wrong again. I got a nasty letter already yesterday. You're wrong. I was like, can't we wait until Sunday morning to say that? So here's the blizzard warnings and then the winter storm warnings, and definitely very warranted. All right, so Here's what I'm talking about on the radar. Let me get you a good perspective and you'll see what I'm talking about. And you're going to be kind of surprised on this one. You're like, "Oh, that's not like, it should be done. Your typical storm is, and it's going to hang around like ladies like your husband's friend that just won't go home. That's This one's going to hang around." So, is it not snowing in the areas where you don't see snow? Not necessarily, because remember, the radar beam goes up out of White Lake, up out of Grand Rapids, up out of Gaylord. And so, guess where there's holes in the radar coverage where the snow is underneath it? Right where it shows it from Big Rapids over to, Midland and Clare and whatnot. So, also note up in the far upper right of the far upper right of the screen. Okay. So that snow has come from the Atlantic and it's heavy and it will dumbbell back down around, at least clip the northern half of lower. And then also I want to remind you that this is a lake effect, and the lake effect actually is not even really going because the storm circulation is jumbling that up. But what I'm seeing is that tomorrow, surprise, the lake effect comes across Lansing, Ann Arbor, into the Detroit area, and it's a pretty wide 30-mile area. And then all of a sudden, everybody's like, "Whoa, I thought it was over," and whatnot. So it's nasty. Stay your butt at home, okay? And then let's see. Here we go. All right, so these are the current wind speeds. We got some gusts to 40 to 45 miles an hour right now, current wind speeds. And by the way, look at the temperatures. Youch. So 5 below in cold water, and it's 29 in the Sioux. Here, maybe you can see this. Hopefully, this is MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa going over the storm system with you. Remember, we're about a third of the way through it. Okay, we're not done with it. We're a third of the way through it. So, Ann Arbor 7, gusting to 40 miles an hour. Detroit City gusting to 49 miles an hour. That's the city airport. Detroit Metro gusting to 40 miles an hour. Flint gusting to 43, 9 degrees. Hillsdale, 5 below. Wind chill 28 below. Lansing, Tri-Cities gusting to 40 miles an hour. Light snow. Pontiac has a moderate snow with a half-mile visibility. Get into the Grand Rapids area, they're reporting about 5-6 inches in Grand Rapids right now. Still easily 2 to 4 more inches to go today, tonight, tomorrow. Grand Rapids was never expected to be, well, initially we thought maybe 12 inches in Grand Rapids. I'd say it probably total out with 10 inches to a foot. But yeah, and you know what the damnedest thing about this storm is, or the blessing is, you really won't be able to tell how much snow. So the darndest thing is, of course, those of you that are naysayers will have us wrong. It wasn't 5 inches. It was 2 inches. Look, I can see the grass. And those of you that are actually trying to measure the snow will say, I don't know. I measured 3 inches in my yard in Frankenmuth about an hour ago. And it's a pretty good measurement because we're pretty protected. I don't get a good feel for what it's like out in the open. When we lived out in the country, I knew what the worst looked like because we had it out in the open. And here in Frankenmuth, we're more protected and it's windy. So I know that it's pretty nasty out in the open. Hey, you know what? You want to go out, you go out and do whatever you got to do. All right. So a little bit more on the observations. So we'll get into the forecast. Kingsley near Traverse City's had 5.5 inches of snow so far. The wind gusts not too terrible in the north just yet. Those will pick up as the low pressure center moves on to the east and you get more into the northwesterly wind. But winds gusting about 30 miles an hour there. Okay. What's next? All right. Here is the wind gust forecast. And still, just as expected. Just as expected. So let's go through. Let me see if we got the latest run. We're just getting it. So let me see how much we have. We don't have much at all of it. So we'll have to go to 6 hour ago run. All right. So let's go to noon. And these are in miles per hour, so still the 45 to 50 mile per hour winds. Bay City into the Thumb, into Flint, into Lapeer, into Detroit, Ann Arbor, Grand Rapids, 35 to 40 mile an hour gusts. Northern Michigan, the gusts starting to come up a little bit. Manistee, oh yeah, just head out. Only 30 mile an hour gusts. Do whatever you want, folks. 6 p.m. tonight. Pretty nasty, 45 to 50 mile an hour gusts from, let's call it, Lansing, Jackson, eastward. And then overnight, just 40 mile an hour gusts. Tomorrow, midday, coming down to 35 to 40 mile an hour gusts as expected. Maybe a flare up. Now we go to tomorrow night, and that's when the winds flare up in the northwest corner of the state, still gusting to 40 miles an hour. So, will it be great on Christmas Eve? Sure. 35 to 40 mile an hour gusts and continued lake effect snow. And then the winds start to come down as we get into Christmas Eve. All right, I wanted to show you this. Let me see if we got an updated one on this one too. Just a second. Our internet is out here in Frankenmuth. If you want to complain about something, how about $80 or $90 a month and the internet goes out all the time in a place where everything's buried underground? I think. I don't know how that happens. Okay, so this is actually a surface map from 3 hours ago. So what you're seeing here is the low pressure center forming, continuing to deepen. And I love this because you're going to have some surprises on this as the moisture feeds back from the Atlantic. Oh, where I was going to go with this was that one thing, and I don't think we're going to get to this point, but one thing that made the blizzard of 78, is the storm center stopped just to our east and it wrapped back. I remember 2 solid areas of heavy snow from the Atlantic swung down through the Great Lakes, and it was like 2 3 to 6 inch heavy bursts of snow over the course of 3 to 6 hours. It did that after, the storm was quote unquote to our east. And I would say that something like that could happen in the UP, northern half of Lower, maybe from Cadillac to Houghton Lake to Tawas. Some of that will drift southward, and then what's going to happen actually is the lake effect will pick up on the southwest side of the state and then start to head on to the east toward Ann Arbor. So those of you that are cautious, just stay put. Those of you that think, oh, it's never going to happen, then, get out there. Do whatever you're going to do. Let's see. Okay, so here's the radar forecast. And let me get the latest on this one, too. So things are coming in. Thank goodness for Verizon and Wi-Fi hotspots, right? All right, so this is radar forecast through the afternoon. Again, my analogy I'm using is it's like your husband's friend that just won't go home in places. Now, center of the state, Mount Pleasant, Alma, Lansing, Jackson, you'll be out of the snow that's to the east and out of the snow that's to the west, and you won't be really too terrible except for the wind and the cold. Now we're in the middle of the night tonight, and then we go toward morning. And let's see here. I might not have all of the panels to take us into there, but we go into the afternoon tomorrow, and the lake effect starts to drift over into the eastern part of the state and then takes on the true heavy lake effect situation. All right, let's look at a better model out in the future. So this is this afternoon, and then this is overnight tonight, and then this is tomorrow morning. So again, this is going to be waves of snowfall. This is tomorrow evening. That's definitely nice pile up on I-94 weather. And then we get to midday on Christmas Day, still going in a lot of places, just like it's supposed to. I wanted to show you this. This is the forecast of the storm center, the bombing out process that we talk about. And why it's important is because I want you to notice how the circulation develops, and that's what keeps the areas of precipitation just circulating around and gets us to the forecasted snowfall totals. Saginaw, we were talking 6 to 7. I'd say it's 4 right now, so we'll be easily right where we're supposed to be. Just pretty much everybody will be right where you're supposed to be by the time it's all said and done. So this is, notice over in Ontario, that's the storm center. And it's just a little bit too far away to worry about significant wraparound snowfall. Now, how much snow is left to fall? Let me get that in here for you. So we've had, anywhere from 1 to 4 inches on the east side, and anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, let's say, on the west side so far. So this is additional snowfall. Through one this afternoon, the thumb gets a couple of inches. Everybody else is kind of light. And then the lake effect gets going through this evening, and then overnight, and then tomorrow afternoon. This is through tomorrow afternoon, and then this is tomorrow evening. Notice 3 inches Ann Arbor, Detroit. So you're going to get right to where you're supposed to be by Christmas Day. So just don't get your panties all in a bunch. And then we go to by the time it's done. So this, I would say, is the additional snow to come. So you're looking at probably 3 to 5 inches, southern half of the state, 3 to 5 inches east of Saginaw to the thumb, 1 to 3 center of the state, Mount Pleasant, Clare, and then you're looking at additional 2 feet of snow, Kalkaska, Grayling, Gaylord, Traverse City area, probably another 10 to 20, all down the shoreline. Grand Rapids, southwest, very heavy. Northeast, probably another 2 to 4 inches. Kalamazoo, probably another 6 or so. So yeah, she's still coming. All right, now, how about we shift gears and look at the warm up on the way? And it looks like that has legs. By the way, I want to remind you that with this storm system, I think it's right on. I think we've all in meteorology done our job. I think the problem we have is when television producers take over the weather, it becomes the storm of the century. It's never the storm of the century for us. It was, or not century, what was it called? Generation, storm of a generation. It's going to be nasty and dangerous today and tonight, and it's going to probably deteriorate this afternoon, this evening, and I would stay off the roads unless it's an emergency. But again, if you think it's fine, go for it. Now, we're going to talk about the warm-up. So we've been talking about this storm right on to the money of the start time almost. 7 days out. I looked at my first post on this was last Thursday. Okay. So Very accurate. Mechanics out there, see if you can do that with a car. Doctors out there, engineers. I know you're always right, engineers, but you know, see if you can do that. All right, so here we go with the upper level temperature anomaly, which translates to what we'll have at the surface. Okay. So here's our cold weather the next couple of days, and we know that's going to happen. Now, here we get to Wednesday, and the warmth aloft starts to move in. That's 10, 15 degrees warmer than normal aloft. It'll take a day or two to get down. This is Thursday, December 30th. This is, I'm sorry, this is Friday, December 30th. This is New Year's Eve day. This is New Year's Day. Okay. And you don't see a cold pocket up there. And some of the information that I have says 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of January, may be significantly warmer than normal. Highs today, single digits and teens. Tomorrow, mid teens. Sunday, Christmas Day, mid teens, 20. Low 20s on Monday. Tuesday, mid 20s. Wednesday, 36, 37, that might be a little much with the fresh snow and the cold air that we've had. And then we're looking at Thursday, 40s, Friday, 40s, Saturday, 50, and New Year's Day, this would be. Now, admittedly, that is pretty far out to say, yeah, we'll be 55 degrees. You know, the timing at this time of the year, a cold front could come through. So I don't know how long it will last, how warm we'll actually get, if we'll get to 55 or 60. But I do know that we will be significantly warmer and above freezing, and a lot of melting going on by the time we get to Thursday, Friday of next week. All right. I don't even really want to take any questions, because half of them on the internet, yeah, you know. Let's see. Krista Batterda, takes so long to get. Well, guess what? Don't watch. Hey, Jennifer Cray, thank you. Rose Mitchell, thank you. Snow total, Ron Hart, snow totals for St. Joseph and all of Southwest Michigan. Now the lake effect starts over the next 6 to 12 hours, and it goes right through tonight, Saturday night, and most of Christmas Day. So, Ron, you're still looking at, in the snow belt, you're still looking at least 6 inches to 12 inches and blowing around a lot. You're looking at, by the time you get to Christmas Day, you're looking at 4-foot drifts. Candy Patrick, there she goes. Was it a winter storm in Michigan? It is, and it will continue to be. But I would head out to Walmart and onto the highway. I certainly would. Lori Holdwick, haters gonna hate. Leslie Wilson, John Hoffman. Yeah, he's in the camp there too. What a joke. You guys were way off. No. And it'll turn out exactly right. But you try it, John. You try it. You take over for me on Christmas Day. All right. So enough of the hate speech, folks. So, you know, everything just as planned. You got the strong wind gusts. You got bursts of snow. They go this afternoon, tonight. They go Saturday night, Sunday. If you think it's not bad, go for it. Do whatever you want to do. And we'll just keep you updated on the weather, because I learned long ago that, you know, can't tell someone what to do, just advise. But if you are of common sense, I would say that it does appear in a lot of places it will get worse as we go through the afternoon and evening. So take that for what it's worth. Hey, thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I've got a post coming up now on the wind speeds coming up, the forecast. I showed that to you already. How much additional snow is going to come. And then I'm going to get into a little bit deeper on how long this warming trend could last. I've hooked up with a company that does some really good long-range forecasting for crops and for farmers. And they've got some ways to take the models and they blend them so they look out 2 and 3 weeks out, and they have some pretty good success over just the straight models by themselves. So I'm going to show you the legs that this warm up may have. And remember, of course, we're always wrong, but remember, early in the year, the forecast, NOAA had recognized the pattern could be significant cold and then significant warm. And the naysayers like this John, whatever his name was, John, probably an engineer, or a car wash owner. Those are pretty much the haters of meteorologists, engineers, and car wash owners. But no, all expected to be up and down winter. So we'll show you that. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Get out there, stay safe. Bye.